Think about the last time you really wanted something. Not a vague wish, a genuine, pressing desire. A goal you worked toward, a problem you tried to think your way through. And think about what that effort felt like. The mental rehearsal, running through every scenario, trying to control every variable, the pressure of needing to figure it out, to push through, to make it happen. Now consider this. That entire approach, the one most of us were taught to believe is the responsible, intelligent way to operate, may be working directly against you. What you're about to hear will reframe how you approach everything you are working toward. We live in a culture built on a specific belief about effort. If something matters, you work for it. If you're not making progress, you work harder, think more clearly, apply more discipline, build a better plan. This is what we might call the rational approach. And to be clear, the rational mind is genuinely brilliant. It can analyze, compare, project, and sequence. It has built cities and solved enormous logistical problems. When you're managing a schedule, or calculating a budget, or assembling something that needs precise measurements, the rational approach is exactly the right tool. But there is a class of challenges, perhaps the most important class, where applying that same tool does not just fail to help. It actively creates resistance. It turns a flowing process into a blocked one. Worth noting here, this is not a call to stop thinking. It is something far more specific. A recognition that you have been using a hammer on something that requires an open hand. Everything turns on one idea. Imagine an archer. He stands at the range, bow in hand, target 50 meters away. Used properly, his intellect does one thing. It pictures the bullseye clearly. He holds that image. Then he releases. His body takes over. Thousands of micro-adjustments happen beneath his conscious awareness. Muscle tension, breath, spatial judgment. He could not consciously direct all of those processes even if he tried. And here's the crucial part. If he tries to consciously manage each one, he misses, every time. Now picture the same archer, except now the rational approach has fully taken over. Instead of holding the image of the target, his mind begins cataloging everything that could go wrong. The arrow could fall left. The wind is a factor. His arm might tremble. He tightens. He second guesses. He concentrates harder, grips harder, calculates more. And the harder he concentrates on possible failure, the more certain that failure becomes. His body, responding precisely to his mental images, begins to mirror them. This is not a metaphor for archery. This is the mechanism by which most people move through their entire lives. There are, in the simplest terms, two ways of relating to reality. The first is the rational approach, precise, sequential, analytical. The second is what we might call the natural approach. Not mystical, not passive. Natural. As natural as the way a seed becomes a tree without consulting a diagram. The natural person, and every one of us is a natural person, however buried that might be under years of rational conditioning, operates with a built-in orientation. It knows at levels far below the analytical mind that life tends toward fulfillment. Not because everything always goes according to plan, but because the very structure of existence is weighted in that direction. Consider how a child learns to walk. No instruction manual. No analysis of balance or center of gravity or weight distribution. The child simply desires to move towards something. That desire becomes action. Falls happen, adjustments happen, and walking happens. Not through calculation, but through a process far more sophisticated than calculation could ever be. That is the core of what Seth calls the magical approach. The magical approach means trusting that the inner processes of your being are already oriented toward your fulfillment, and that overriding them with relentless rational control is the primary source of resistance in most people's lives. Look at it from the other direction for a moment. In physical reality, Effort is required to move from A to B. You want food from the kitchen, you walk there. That makes complete sense. Physical reality operates through time, through space, through visible action. But there is another dimension of your experience. Call it the inner world, call it the source level of reality, what Seth calls Framework 2, where a completely different set of rules applies. At that level, desire does not merely point toward its object. Desire is the action. The wanting itself, when held without interference, begins the process of its own fulfillment. Seth illustrates this with a vivid image. Picture a dog on one side of a glass door, food on the other. In the physical world, you must open the door. But in the inner world, at the source level of events, the dog's desire for food is so direct, so uncluttered by doubt or analysis, that it walks through the door, not around it, not because physical laws are suspended, but because at the deeper level of operation, desire and fulfillment are not separated by struggle. They are already in motion toward each other. The rational approach does not believe this. It looks at the door and sees only an obstacle requiring a solution. So it begins solving, checking the hinges, calculating the force required, considering whether to push or pull. All of this activity, sincere, well-intentioned, actually prevents the natural process from completing itself. The intellect, in its anxious attempt to manage the solution, gets in the way of the very forces already moving toward it. Sit with this for a second. Think about the areas of your life where you have been pushing the hardest for the longest time. Career, health, relationships, finances. The places where you keep increasing the effort, keep refining the strategy, keep adding more mental pressure because surely, if you just think about it correctly enough, the answer will appear. Now ask yourself honestly, is it possible that the trying has become the obstacle? Assembly line thinking, the belief that each hour must be a unit of conscious production, that creativity and progress must be directed and disciplined and accounted for, does not generate more results. It generates a particular kind of mental noise that drowns out the signal that was already coming through. Your most vital impulses, insights, and solutions are not things you manufacture. They are things you receive. They arise from the same source that keeps your heart beating without a single conscious instruction, a source that operates with an order so far beyond the rational mind that comparing the two is like comparing a calculator to an ocean. Relaxation, genuine relaxation, not collapse, not indifference, is one of the most powerful creative forces available to you, not because it removes effort, but because it removes interference. Seth puts it plainly. Relaxation is one of creativity's greatest champions, not its enemy. This idea has a direct parallel in the law of attraction. Abraham Hicks uses the image of a canoe on a river. Paddling upstream is exhausting, and it moves you away from where you want to go. The current is already moving in the direction of your desires. The art is not to add more force. It is to stop paddling against the current. That image captures something precise. Non-resistance is not passivity. The river is still moving. You are still in the canoe. You are still making choices. What changes is the quality of your relationship to the movement itself. Seth goes one level deeper. The rational mind, when properly used, is not abandoned. It is repositioned. Its role is to form the image of the target clearly, to know what you want, to point in a direction, and then to release, to allow the vast inner processes to complete what the intention has set in motion. The body, Seth notes, reasons directly. It makes calculations so fast, so layered, and so precise that the intellect could not follow them even if it wanted to. When the intellect properly imagines the target, the body's properties do the rest. When the intellect tries to manage every step of the process itself, it produces exactly the confusion the archer experiences. A focus on failure rather than a focus on the goal. You are not built to force your way through life. The intellect is a genuine part of nature, not a guardian standing apart from it. And the magical approach carries what Seth calls the weight of your basic natural orientation, meaning it is not something exotic you need to acquire. It is the default. The rational-only approach is the override, and you can, at any point, begin to put the hammer down. Today, pick one thing you have been pushing hard on, not to abandon it, simply to observe how you have been relating to it. Notice whether you have been holding the clear image of what you want, or whether your attention has been filling up with everything that could go wrong. Notice whether your energy has been oriented toward the target or toward the management of obstacles. Then do something small and concrete that is aligned with your desire. Not a grand push. Something easy. Something that takes 2 minutes and feels almost too simple to matter. Do it without evaluating whether it will work, without building a strategy around it. Just do it, and let the inner processes register it. You are not giving up. You are switching from the hammer to the open hand. You have been living in two worlds your entire life. The world your rational mind can measure, plan, and control, and the world your body already moves through effortlessly, without a single conscious instruction. Most people spend their lives trusting only the first one. Next week, we take this further. If the inner world is already oriented toward your fulfillment, what does that say about the universe itself? Whether it is fundamentally hostile, or whether safety is the structure, and fear is simply what we were taught.